Hi, I'm Andy Webb from BeCleverWithYourCash.com. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and to part 4 of my £1,000 money makeover. I say £1,000 because that is the minimum I hope you'll be able to save. Most of you will hit that 1K. Some of you will get far bigger savings from this. It really depends on what you already do. And this is all based on the kind of stuff that I used to do on Channel 5's Shop Smart Save Money, where I go and visit a family, look at all their spending, look at their bills, find the ways they could cut back, spend smarter, and really have all that cash back in their pocket over a few months, to up to maybe a year generally is what I looked at it, but some of these savings might even keep you going year after year after year if you do them now. So this episode, what I'm going to talk to you about, I'm still focusing on bills, but we're looking at your energy bills, so your gas, your electricity, and also your water bills, the ways to bring down the cost, the amount of money you spend on those utilities. So energy bills are one of the easiest ways to cut your monthly expenses, and they are going to be one of the biggest ways to cut your monthly expenses as well. It's so simple to do this. And I think you probably already know this, right? You've heard this how many times? Switch your energy. Make sure you fix your energy. All these different things you can do. And you might have gone, but I'm busy, I've got this to do, I've got that to do. Out of anything you could possibly do, I think this is what you should be making time for. And you know what? You only need 10 minutes. I promise you, it's possible to do this in less than 10 minutes, but even if you take a little bit more time, 10, maybe a max 20 minutes. But this will not take you much time at all. And we are talking about hundreds of pounds every single year that you will be paying less on those gas and electricity bills. And that's what I'm going to start with, gas and electricity, and move on to water towards the end of this video. So the way your energy bills work is very simple. You only get charged for what you use, and that's something people often get a bit confused about or don't realise. So when they do these comparisons, it says you will pay this much every single month, and it's more or it's less, they get a bit confused. No, that is estimated on your normal usage, okay? So if you use more, let's say it's a cold winter and you've got the heating on more, then you will cost more. It will cost you more. You will spend more on your energy bills. If you use less, maybe you just sort of take up some different ways to kind of reduce your energy. You get insulation in or whatever it might be, which means you use less heating, less electricity, all that kind of stuff. Then your bill could be less. Okay, so that's the really important thing to remember here, is that the big way to cut down your usage is to use less. But that's silly. I don't want you sort of sitting in the dark or freezing away or whatever it might be just to save some pennies. Because the other way to save money is to make sure you're not on something called a standard variable rate. Now this is the kind of default rate that your energy company will charge you, whether it's gas or electricity, right? Standard variable rate. And what that basically means is they can change it. It can go up and down whenever they want. The alternative is to go for something called a fixed rate. Okay, and a fixed rate means you lock in for normally 12 months. Sometimes you can get longer ones, but generally you lock in for 12 months at a certain rate per kilowatt of energy you use. Again, it could go up or down depending on how much energy you use. But what you're doing here is you're guaranteeing yourself that if prices do go up, you don't miss out. Now, the flip side of that is if prices do go down, you could end up paying more money. And lots of time people worry about that. Well, it could well be that even if prices drop and you're on a fix, you can switch within your existing company. So you might not be able to switch to the cheapest deal out there, but you might be able to switch to a cheaper deal with your existing supplier. Now I've actually done that at the time I'm recording this now in April, and I've switched 4 times since September. So most have ever switched, but we are unprecedented where rates have been going down almost every single month, and I've stuck with the same company, switch, and keep bringing that price down. So although I'm not on the cheapest one out there, I'm a lot cheaper than what I'd been if I'd stayed with that first fixed rate I got back in September. And overall, I'm in a lot less every single month being charged than being on that standard variable rate. So the simple thing to do here, I think, and it's up to you, but I would always recommend going for that fix because you have got that flexibility to switch within your own company. Now the alternative is something called a fixed rate. Now this is really simple, okay? It basically means that you are locked in on a certain price per unit, per kilowatt basically, for every unit of energy that you use, your gas or electricity. Again, use more, it'll be higher, use less, it'll be lower. But essentially that price won't go up and down like it could do on a variable rate tariff, normally for 12 months. And these are generally much cheaper than standard variable rate deals. You're protecting yourself from prices going up, but you are potentially limiting yourself if prices do go down. Because when you are on a fixed rate, most of the time they do have exit penalties. Normally it's around 30 quid per fuel. So if you've got dual fuel, which is when you've got gas and electricity from the same supplier, often that's a good way to save money, get them from the same place. You're kind of locked in if prices do dip down. However, it is possible, not with every single company, but it is also sometimes possible to switch to a cheaper deal, even if you want to fix with your existing company. So while I'm recording this right now, I switched to British Gas back in September. Never thought I would, but they had a green energy deal and it was the cheapest deal last September. So I switched to that. Since then, prices have continued to fall, which is quite rare to see this happening. So what I've been able to do though, I've been able to switch with British Gas to another British Gas deal. And again, I've done it 4 times since September. And each time I've paid less and I haven't had any exit fees to pay because I've stayed within that British Gas contract. They just extended it each time I've done it. So I'm paying a lot less money by being on that fixed deal than I would be on the variable rate deal. And because I've continued switching, again, I've managed to bring the price down. So that's something to bear in mind. And I certainly would think that for most of us, a fixed deal is the best one. It really does protect you. Now, you might have heard of an energy cap, right? You might be thinking, well, I don't need to go for one of these fixes now because the energy cap means my bill is never going to be too expensive. Well, no, all that's actually happened since this energy cap has come in is really that the top price that the companies charge you on these variable rate tariffs is the cap. Sometimes they were lower. So actually, a lot of those ones are more expensive. And even so, you can still get cheaper deals by fixing, okay? So I think the cap is great for people who refuse to do anything, okay? And potentially could mean some of them are spending less money on their bills. But on the whole, as I've said, with all the other things I'm talking about, all the other bills and you want to sort out, take a little bit of action and you will save some money. So how do you do it, right? You go do a comparison. As you do with most of these things, get on there, shop around, find out what deals are available for you. Now, this is what only takes you 10 minutes, I promise you. All you need to do it, and I've got lots of information on the blog and I'll put that in the links with this video, is you need your existing bill. And on your existing bill, it will tell you how much energy you have used over the last 12 months. That is what you want. That's the benchmark to give you an idea of how much you're going to be paying. And you put that into the comparison site and it will throw up a series of results and give you an idea of how much money you could save. Now, I only use one comparison site for my energy. I won't use any of the others. And the one I use is called the Cheap Energy Club, and that's run by Money Saving Expert, which, you know, Martin Lewis's website that he set up years ago and sold to Money Supermarket, but they're still quite independent and they still have this strong editorial code, which I think gives you the best results. And the reason it gives you the best results is, for some weird reason, Ofgem, the regulator, makes all the comparison sites, when it gives you that comparison, it gives you what you will save over the next 12 months compared to what you would pay over the next 12 months. Okay, stick me with here. It's simple, but it might be confusing, okay? But so normally you think, well, I'm paying, let's say you're paying X right now, but that's because you're on a fix. When that fix finishes in, say, 2 months or whatever it is, you'll suddenly go onto that variable rate deal if you don't do anything. And that's a lot more expensive, as we've established. So when you go on a comparison site, what they're often comparing for you is you on a standard variable rate for, say, 10 months and 2 months on a fix, rather than compared to what you're paying right now. So if you really want to get comparison to what you're paying right now and how much savings you'll make, I would go with the Cheap Energy Club because it gives you a choice to either do it based on that Ofgem established one, which all the different comparison sites use, and this one, which I think is the best one, which is based on what you pay now. Anyway, you put that data in. Great thing about the Cheap Energy Club as well is it will remind you and let you know when a cheaper deal is available. So although it's always worth putting a note in your calendar for when your fix finishes, it gives you a little bit of a heads up as well. And you just do that, you type that data in, you get the results up. You can search by do all sorts of things, customer service. You can search by whether they're one of the big suppliers or a small supplier. Find out which one you want to go with. And our price is going to be obviously a leading thing here, but I would certainly think about the reviews that it's got, the customer service ratings that it's got. Because although the energy you get, the gas and electricity that comes through the pipes and through the wires is exactly the same, there's no kind of period where it stops, it doesn't change, it's not going to be better or worse depending where you get it from. Even if you choose a green tariff, it doesn't mean the actual one that you're going to use is green energy. It all comes as one big pile from the same place, all comes through into your home. None of that makes a difference, but customer service can make a difference. So do check that out. So for example, years ago, I had an awful experience with Npower. I will never go back to npower unless for some reason they've turned a corner and suddenly starts getting amazing reviews that they've sort of sorted things out. It was awful. I wouldn't go back to them. And I'm sure you've got experiences of places you want to try. I know lots of people worry about some of these smaller companies. You hear these stories about them going bust. Now, there is a risk of that happening, but if it does happen, you will not lose any of your energy supply at all. When that happens, you'll simply be transferred to another supplier, you then get transferred to a different supplier. You've got that ability to switch to somebody else if you wanted to a cheaper deal. So although it can be a bit of a faff, if that happens, it's not the end of the world. So you might want to consider one of these smaller companies. But this will take you just 10 minutes, I promise you. No time at all. And once you've already got that data in there, it's even quicker when you come to do it the next year and the year after that. Really, it can take you no time at all. Really, what's going to take any time is looking for the results and choosing the one you want. And that can be, if you want to take a bit longer on that, then you can. So do this, I promise you, do this, and you will probably save yourself hundreds of pounds every year. Potentially, if you've never done this, if this is something you've always been putting off or you've forgotten about, if you've been on one of those standard variable rate tariffs for a while now, go onto a fix, go onto a cheap fix, you will save yourself hundreds of pounds in a year. It is a big, big saving, and you keep switching, keep doing this every year, you'll keep your bills down. That is money in your pocket rather than with the energy companies. Now you can start a comparison as you start a switching process in the last 49 days of your fix. Okay, so you don't have to wait for it to finish to do another comparison and another switch, because it can take sort of 3-4 weeks for a switch to actually happen. So you don't want to be in a situation where you go up for a month paying a lot of money before you switch again. You can start it up, say 49 calendar days before your fix ends. So make a note in your calendar for you to start looking again. One thing you could do, if this all feels a little bit, even though it's so simple, I promise you it's so easy, even if this feels a little bit much hassle, there are some new services, some automatic switching services. What you do is you put your information in there, you sign up to them, and they will just switch you when they find a cheaper deal, and they'll do it for you. So you will save some money by doing this, and it takes a lot of the effort out. I know a lot of people like the idea of it. For me personally, I wouldn't go with it because you won't get the best deal, because these companies are going to be working with only certain suppliers most of the time, okay? Which basically means you might miss out on the best deal out there. So I personally, it's not for me, and you won't save as much money by doing it. And it is so easy to switch, as I keep saying, but if you feel like, do you know what? No, I'm just going to go with this, then do check them out. And again, I've got like a review of what all the different ones work, what they offer, and I'll put that in the links below so you can check those out in more detail. The last thing to talk about in terms of energy are smart meters. Now, a lot of people are kind of and ah about this. They've got good experiences, they've got bad experiences. Some people worry about them. On the whole, I think they're okay. If you've got one, it's not going to save you a huge amount of cash. It's more a matter of convenience. And I've got a couple of videos about this which you can watch for more information. But essentially what you do, if you've got one, it will automatically send the readings through, which basically means you get accurate bills. There's no estimates going on. And that can sometimes be a problem because you pay not enough money, which means they change your direct debit and suddenly they're charging you a lot more cash. Okay, so it's a good way to help you avoid that situation. And the opposite of that as well, where you pay too much and suddenly they've got more of your money that you didn't need to pay them. So it's good for that. If you really want to monitor it and see where your energy is going, you can do that. But of course, you could just do that from an old-fashioned meter as well. So I don't think they're necessarily going to save you a huge amount of money, but they say it can be quite convenient. Where you might have to have one is some of the cheaper deals require a smart meter. Okay, so that's something to bear in mind. If you don't want a smart meter, you might be limited from some of the best deals out there. If you are going to have one installed, insist on something called a SMETS 2 meter. It's a second generation, because that means when you switch, they should remain smart. Okay, more of that on the other video. So if you want more information about those, do watch that. And again, links below this video. So I also want to talk to you about water meters. Now, unlike most bills, you can't switch your water meter. Okay, you are stuck with your supplier. It's done by region. They are the guys who supply your water. You pay what they make you pay, pretty much. Okay, their charges are their charges. Now, this is what I'm going to talk about here mainly is England and Wales, because in Scotland, your water rates are kind of decided for you by your property. You can't really do much about it. And in Northern Ireland, you don't have water charges. Okay, it's all included in your rates. But in England and Wales, it is possible potentially to bring down that water bill. And the way you might want to do that is to get a water meter installed. Now, again, like smart meters, these have pros and cons, but these ones can be quite significant, okay? Water meters, as you do imagine, they charge you based on how much water you use, as opposed to traditionally, normally your water charges, your water rates are based on the size of your property. Okay, so if you haven't got a water meter right now, you are paying based on the size of your house. The general rule of thumb is if you have less people in your house than you do bedrooms, then a water meter could well save you some cash. Because basically there's less people in the house, you're using less water, so therefore it could bring the price down. Now that worked for me. When we did that, we got a water meter installed and our bills did come down by quite a significant amount, but there's just 2 of us in here, okay? And again, we have more bedrooms than people, so that brought the price down. The flip side is if you get a water meter installed and you use a lot more water, particularly if you have a lot of you there, maybe if you have thinking of having kids down the line, if you haven't got them right now, then your bills could go up. You know, if you have a lot of baths, a lot of showers, things like that as a house, flush the loo a lot, whatever it is, again, those bills could go up. So you really need to work out if it's best for you. And although that rule of thumb is a great indicator, you really need to get online onto one of these calculators. All the water companies have them. I'll link to some sort of key ones in the video, below the video. Put in how many times you use the washing machine, how many times you flush the loo, all these kind of things, right? It adds up and it gives you an idea of what it thinks a water meter will save you every single month. Give it a go, the calculator, and work out if it is for you. If it is, again, you could be saving yourself a decent amount of cash. Now, once you've got a water meter installed for the first time, you can actually change your mind. So I think it's worth giving it a go if that indicator is that you'll save some cash. Because within the first year, sometimes 2 years, depending on your water company, you can actually get it reversed. But once that deadline's gone, that's it. Your property has a water meter for good. And that's likewise if you move to a house which has got a water meter already, you can't do anything about that again. So you've got to factor that in when moving house, because costs could go up depending on what your usage might be. Now, if you have got a water meter already, then there are different gadgets you can get to help reduce how much water you use. Little things you put in the toilet to reduce the amount of water that flushes, little nozzles that you can put on taps to reduce the flow, eco shower heads, all that kind of things. Now you can buy these things, but you can often get them for free as well from your water company. So go to your water company website, see if they're offering anything, or go to the Save Water, Save Money website again. You put in where you live and they'll give you an indication of what some of these things are. Timers for showers, things like that. Simple little things that means you use less water, which means you bring down the price of your bills, and it's good for the planet as well. So it's kind of a win-win there in terms of bringing down how much money you spend. Not saying it's going to be a huge amount with these devices, but every little can count. Now finally, just a couple of extra little savings you can have on your energy bills. They're the same ones I've talked about a couple of times already. First of all, cashback. Make sure you do, particularly for gas and electricity, when you switch them, you look for any cashback you can get on that switch. The Cheap Energy Club that I mentioned from Money Saving Expert, that will give you cashback on most companies you switch to. Extra money in your pocket for no extra effort. Well worth doing that. You can also get cash back on your gas, your electricity and your water bills on that Santander 123 Lite cashback current account. Well worth doing that every single month. Your money you're spending, you may as well get a bit more in your pocket. And finally, thing to think about here, when you switch, and again, similar to what I said with the broadband one, if you do switch companies, if you've got any money that you are owed, make sure you get it back. Now they should automatically send it to you. Doesn't always happen. So make a little note just to check your direct debits after a month. If you haven't got it, give them a bell and make sure they do pay you. So there you go. That's part 4 of my £1,000 money makeover complete. Go through it, watch it again, take it bit by bit, check all those links below for more information, a bit more detail about how you do some of those things, and hopefully by now you're well on your way to that £1,000 saving, if not already surpassed it. But we've got lots more to go. The next episode, I'm going to talk to you about your TV bills, how to cut the cost, your Sky, your Virgin, all those kind of things, because they will be costing you a lot of cash. Until next time, cheers.